But one of the best ways to kind of be full of energy and be able to hit the ground running and be the best in business that you possibly can is to have good, effective sleep. And so over the last couple of years, I've read a couple of brilliant books on sleep. One is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, and the other one is Sleep, the 8-Hour Myth by, I think his name's John Littlehales. Both really brilliant books and packed full of tips. Both of them advise a lot of the sporting world. So Littlehales coached the Tour de France team, Team Sky in Tour de France, sorry, on sleep. He was the one that had them rolling up their bed, so they slept on exactly the same bed every night of the Tour de France, not just the riders, but the entire team. Matt Walker was advising Manchester United and Real Madrid and people like that. So both brilliant books. But one of the things I loved about them was they kind of emphasized the importance of sleep, because pretty much every creature on the planet has some form of sleep. So if sleep isn't really important to us, then it's got to be Mother Nature's biggest ever mistake. And so one of the things they looked at was, why is it important that we get this sleep, and what's the impact? Well, have a look at these two people and try and work out if one looks better than the other. One looks more attractive than the other. And actually what you will hopefully see is that the one on the right looks slightly less attractive than the one on the left. These, of course, are the exact same people, just days apart, but the only difference is that one is sleep deprived. So a lack of sleep makes us less attractive, it makes us less engaged. Here's a female version of the same thing. But a lack of sleep can cause significantly, significant health problems. It can cause dementia. It can massively increase your chances of cancer, heart attacks, strokes. It can lower testosterone levels. It makes us less effective at making important decisions. Makes our concentration levels worse. It's just pretty much, you can almost think of every, whether it makes you, whether you're interested in being more attractive, being healthy, being, the best that you can at work. Sleep, having good sleep helps optimize you, and having bad sleep really takes a lot of those things away. And actually, they reckon that 20% of fatal car accidents are a result of tiredness. So it is actually, if you're not sleeping well, then actually it's a massive threat to your life. And in fact, even if it's not from car accidents, you die quicker from a lack of sleep than you do from a lack of eating. It really is that important to us. But to think about this analogy of the car, it also, one of the analogies, I can't remember which book it was in, describes running on too little sleep, whether you're fueling yourself with caffeine or energy drinks or whatever it is. Running yourself on too little sleep is like driving your car on maximum revs instead of changing up a gear. You can do it for a while and it doesn't seem to make any problems. It just makes the car scream at a horrible noise. But after a while, the engine ends up blowing up. And that's essentially what we do, and we deprive ourselves of sleep. And in the 8-Hour Myth, what Littlehales particularly talks about is this sleep cycle where we go through light sleep, then we go into what they call REM sleep, which is stands for rapid eye movement, and then you kind of go through this 90-minute cycle. And Littlehales talks about the fact that actually the most important thing about sleep is not the number of hours, it's not this need for 8 hours necessarily, the number of 90-minute cycles you need each week. So if you do have a late night, then you can actually catch up either in the days before or the days afterwards by making sure you get the right number of 90-minute cycles. And I find that really interesting. In fact, I've actually really refined the way I sleep as a result of that. So I now know that 7.5 hours sleep is exactly what I need. But if I miss out on it, then or if I'm going to bed later, it's almost like, well, I might as well be an hour and a half later, because actually it doesn't really make much difference whether I go to bed half an hour late, an hour late, or an hour and a half later, because what you want to do is wake up at the end of one of those 90-minute cycles. So understanding that 90-minute cycle is really powerful. But in these books, there's a number of things that a number of recommendations as to how you can improve the quality of your sleep. And there's lots of devices nowadays that will measure the quality of your sleep. But there's several things that you can do to really improve the quality of your sleep, and not just get the right amount of sleep for the right amount of time, but it's actually getting the quality of sleep that's really important. So the first thing that you probably are all aware of, but just in case you're not, is blue light. So blue light emitted particularly high from mobile phones, from tablets, from laptops. The blue light from the screens stimulates melatonin, and therefore that suppresses your ability to sleep. So you really want to avoid blue light as much. TV is less bad, but still does emit blue light. But you really got to put the laptop, mobile phone, etc. down 90 minutes before you sleep if you want to get the best quality of sleep possible. In that time, you also really want dim light. You want to keep the lights in the house dim. You know, when you're going to the bathroom to brush your teeth, keep the lights dim, and that will help tell your body that you're kind of moving into sleep mode. When you sleep, you want complete darkness, so you want to try and block out any lights or any standby lights on a TV in the bedroom or anything like that. Get it as dark as possible. One of the keys is to wake up at the same time every day. So I mentioned a book, The 5 a.m. Club, to a few guys in this breakfast before. Really powerful book, and that's something that talks about as well. So I get up at 5:30 every day, and it drives my wife crazy, but I do it even when we're on holiday or at the weekend or whatever, because I know that I function far better by getting up at 5:30 every day. Even if, if you have had a later night than you would normally have, you get up at 5:30, and then you have a nap later on to catch up for one of those cycles. That is much better than sleeping in, getting a lie in. And if I now really know that if I sleep later than 5:30, I actually feel worse for that day. But you don't want to just switch to a 5:30 wake up if you're getting up at 7 or whatever it is. You've got to do it gradually, and gradually get yourself to the time that you want to do it, rather than going cold turkey. Sleeping in a cool room is really important. If you get too warm, then you won't get high quality sleep. And two things that are likely to really affect the quality of your sleep are alcohol. So alcohol, when you're drunk, you fall asleep very easily. The quality of your sleep is really bad, and actually a hangover is mostly sleep deprivation as opposed to the actual alcohol in your system. Drinking less alcohol or no alcohol is a way to get much better quality of sleep. Drinking less in the hour and a half before you go to bed is also likely to mean that you're less likely to need to get up in the middle of the night. If you can't get to sleep, then one of the things that they recommend is that you get up after trying for 20 minutes, and then you and this is one of these reasons why the 90-minute cycle is really powerful, because what it does is it means that you think, well, actually, okay, well, I can't get to sleep now. I haven't got to sleep. I've kind of missed my birth. So now the pressure's off. I don't need to get to sleep for another 30 minutes. So I've got half an hour to get myself into the next cycle that I might join. So you so it says that you've got to associate being in your bed with sleep. So therefore, if you can't sleep, you're better off just getting up, getting out of the bedroom, and then going back to try again later on. And caffeine obviously is a thing that affects sleep badly, both quality and your ability to get to sleep. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. So you've just got to be really mindful of keeping that caffeine to a minimum. I won't tell you shouldn't be having caffeine at all, because Christine will start throwing things at me via the webinar. But
Absolutely.
but I'm sure she does very good decaffeinated coffee and cafe.
I do, but I also do really good chocolate, hot chocolate.
Oh, well, there we go. Excellent, excellent. That's what makes it sweet. Um, uh, and then a couple of things that I found on a podcast by a guy I can't remember the name of, but he talked about strategies for getting to sleep. So a couple of brilliant strategies that that were recommended on this podcast. Well, one which works really, really well for me, which is so what you do is you visualize a cannon firing random numbers between 10 and 100 into the air. And there's something, so the fact that it's a random number between 10 and 100 is just enough mental energy to avoid your brain getting distracted. I've tried other things like counting backwards from 1,000 and things like that, but my mind tends to get kind of carry on doing that while drifting away. Whereas thinking of a random number between 10 and 100 seems to be just enough mental stimulation to avoid you drifting off to think about something else, but allows you to go to sleep. So that was a really nice, I use that quite a lot if I'm struggling to get to sleep. Another one that I tend not to use so much, but I have heard work really well for other people, is where they've got a particular problem that they're worrying about, and they can't get to sleep because of that, whether it's the coronavirus or whatever it is. Then what they do is they can allocate a personality for each element of their worry. So if there's then they imagine a boardroom table. So they might imagine if they've got money, if money is a part of the problem of the worry, then they might imagine a big guy in a bowler hat and a pinstripe suit sat around that boardroom table. And then if their customers are a particular worry, they might imagine one of their customers sitting there, and basically create personas for each of the different worries. And you just go around the boardroom table and say, well, okay, what are the things that you're concerned about? And you listen to each one for, to their concerns, and then you come up with an idea that will suppress that one. So like, okay, money is a concern about what's going on with the coronavirus. Okay, so tomorrow I will go off and do, I'll speak to the bank or do this. Does that satisfy that? And you just kind of go around the boardroom table of your own mental personas. And I just think that's if it's something big that you're worrying about, that's quite a powerful concept. If you want to know more about that, then let me know afterwards, and I'll track down the podcast so you can listen to it in a little bit more detail.